What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Retro Reviews. Thanks for being patient with me and waiting for this next upload. Feels good to be back. I know it took a little bit longer than I had hoped for myself, but I'm back today. It feels good to be back. It feels good to be recording. I'm hyped up. I'm pumped about this video because I worked very hard on this list. Well, not too hard, just because the list kind of just happened. It wasn't as hard as I expected it to be. It kind of just wrote itself. And I'm very happy how it turned out, and I hope you guys enjoy the video for that. Today's video is going to focus on the top 12 albums that I anticipate for the year 2021. In the beginning, this was supposed to be a top 10 list, but as it frequently happens with me, once I was done with the original 10, I realized there was a few more albums that I left out and I didn't want to leave out. So I narrowed down the list a little bit and I made it a top 12 instead of a top 10. And I feel good, I feel content with releasing this top 12 list of albums that I anticipate for the year 2021. We're gonna count it down. So we're gonna start from 12 all the way down to 1. With that being said, let me stop rambling. Let me just get to the list for you guys. Let's kick it off. At the number 12 spot, we have Bleachers. Now, if you're a Bleachers fan, wanting more Bleachers material can get kind of selfish at times. And let me tell you why, because I don't mean that in a bad way at all. When Bleacher fans, myself included, are receiving constant hits and quality production from Mr. Jack Antonoff himself via other artists, we gotta be at least thankful and content with the stuff we're getting from this guy, you know? Yes, it's not Bleachers material, but it's still production. It's still music done by Jack Antonoff. So in a way, it kind of like balances out, right? It's still Bleacher-esque, right? But I get the hype, guys. I get it. You want more Bleachers material, because so do I. It's been a while since the last Bleachers album, and I think this year for sure, 2021, we're due for one now. And that's why I anticipate this album a lot, because of the stuff, you know, the track record's there for Jack Antonoff. He's released so many hits. His writing for Taylor Swift, his writing for Dua Lipa, so many hits that this guy has pulled out of the bag, and he just delivers every time. So I think for this album, Bleachers, I don't expect a different direction in sound. I think he'll keep it the same, you know, that Bleachers pop sound. I think this next Bleachers album will have potential to just really top the charts more than the ones in the past have. Coming in at number 11, an artist that I anticipate an album from in 2021 is Mr. Jon Bellion. It's a coincidence that these two artists fall around the same spot. Like Jack Antonoff, Jon Bellion produces hits after hits after hits for various different artists, but I feel like he never gets the flowers and recognition that he deserves for these hits. He just kind of quietly stays behind the scenes. Both The Human Condition and Glory Soundprep, his last two albums, went hand in hand in style for what he's known for, but surprisingly didn't receive as much recognition or mainstream success as I thought they would. And I'm sure Jon Bellion could care less about this, as he should, because he's a phenomenal musical artist. But it would be nice to see Jon on a mainstream platform reaching more success than he already has. That way he could connect with even more artists and just create more collabs. For his next release, I don't expect much of a change for his sound, but I could be wrong, being that an artist like Jon Bellion tends to remain creative, you know, get those juices flowing, and they tend to maybe want to explore different sounds and incorporate those into their already established sound. So I could see a change. I could be wrong. So I'm interested to see how this plays out and what the next album sounds like for Jon Bellion. At number 10, Kendrick Lamar. I think I speak for the majority of hip-hop fans when I say that we're pretty all much eagerly awaiting for his next album to drop since like last year. And I understand that Dan might have fallen short for quite a few fans of Kendrick and hip-hop listeners. But we gotta be fair, guys. We gotta understand that this guy had just came off dropping two back-to-back classics in Good Kid, Mad City and To Pimp a Butterfly. So let's kind of be easy on Kendrick. That wasn't that bad of an album. I actually enjoyed it. I know a lot of people, or I've seen a lot of people saying that they didn't enjoy it as much or that it fell short. And it's understandable, because To Pimp a Butterfly had raised the bar so high. So for them to come out and not live up to the hype and not reach the bar that To Pimp a Butterfly had laid out before it, I understand where the fans were left with wanting more. But this might be the year. I think Kendrick drops an album this year, and it's one that I'm very much anticipating. At number 9, we have Churches. Churches is another group that I anticipate will drop an album this year, and I couldn't be more excited to hear exactly where they take this next record. I really enjoyed their last record, Love Is Dead, but something tells me that this next record will surpass Love Is Dead in terms of consistency and sound. So I'm very interested to see how this next album plays out for them. It truly doesn't feel like Petaluma from This Wild Life dropped that long ago as we push towards a 3-year mark here in June. And I think a lot of that has to do with the overall quality of the songs in that album. Petaluma kept this wildlife on their established trajectory of promotional, personal, and catchy records. With this next release, I don't suspect the catchy duo to sway away from their formula of emotional driven ballads, but I definitely wouldn't be surprised to hear hints or touches of different sounds incorporated into this next album. Kevin Jordan and Anthony Del Grosso would be just the type of musicians to expect this type of venture from. One thing I do look forward to is the songwriting that will accompany this album. I know just what's inside of this wildlife DNA, and I'm ready to just take in all the feels.
We interrupt this transmission with a special report.
Alright guys, it started getting a little bit dimmer here where I was recording, so I'm gonna turn the light switch on now. Next up at number 7, Adriel Favela. It's been 2 going on 3 years since Adriel Favela dropped his last album back in 2018. And if I'm being honest, I was very eager to hear a new project from him, especially with the few singles he released in 2019 and 2020. But I gotta admit, just based off his socials as of recently and seeing a clip or two of him singing over a trap beat style song kind of worried me, if I'm being honest. I know this is kind of the trend in the Regional Mexicana genre, to, you know, the trap beats and the corrido trap beats, so I can definitely see him diving into that, but it's just not a genre or a type of sound that I want to hear from him. He's a talented singer, man. I think he's got a good voice, and based off the last record, I guess I got, you know, so involved and so into the last record that I expect that same sound for this next one. So I'd really hate for him to change it up and, you know, go with this style completely. Even if this next album doesn't consist of that sound entirely, of that trap beat sound, I just don't want to see it sprinkled in there with different sounds. I just don't think it'll mesh well. I don't think it fares him well. I think he's just more of a, not a concept album guy, but I think sticking to one type of sound throughout the record benefits him more than what he would do by sprinkling in different sounds here and there for him. I don't know, maybe that's just my opinion. And I was feeling a little bit skeptical like this as of late, up until last week, February 5th, last Friday, when he released a new single. And that single's called Eres. That single had a more traditional and ranchero vibe to it, which I really liked. So now I'm left at this crossroads where I don't know where he's gonna take this next album. I guess I'm still anticipating very well, since it made the list. But I'm kind of worried, I'm not gonna lie. I'm worried, maybe about 50% worried. I'm 50-50 on what this album's gonna sound like, but it's Adriel Favela, so I'm definitely looking forward for this album to drop this year. Next up on the list at number 6 is Hello Goodbye. First off, huge shout out to Mr. Forrest Klein. You're amazing. I'm not sure if Forrest is creating music at the moment in the studio, but it's hard to imagine with this pandemic going on that he's not in there cooking something up for us. And this is based off the quality musician and songwriter that Forrest Klein is. It's Only Natural in 2018 was my favorite album of that year by far. I love that record. And with Hello Goodbye, Forrest has done a great job on just changing up what every album sounds like from them. He continues to push the boundary and delivers every single time. So with this next album, I'm curious to see if he builds off of that groovy, dance, indie poppy greatness that he delivered on It's Only Natural, or will Forrest yet again tap into a different sound and just build on this incredible catalog of music that he's already created in the past. Either way, I'm so stoked for it and I'm here for it all. At number 5, the heaviest pop punk band in the world, A Day to Remember. You're Welcome, the title for A Day to Remember's next studio album, which is due March 5th, already has 5 singles out. Personally, I think that's too many. I feel like they put too many out. I feel like they've spoiled us a little bit with too many. I feel like 1 or 2 would have been fine, but that's just my personal opinion. Regardless, they're out. The album's just right around the corner. I'm definitely a dedicated and longtime fan of ADTR, so I've definitely been waiting for this album for quite some time. I'm definitely interested to see where You're Welcome and what You're Welcome ultimately delivers for us at the forefront. It has been 4 years since their last studio album, Bad Vibrations, released, and with such a gap of time in between that release and now, I feel like all eyes have been on A Day to Remember from fans and pop punk fans alike to release another quality record in their catalog. If there's one band that I never doubt or feel iffy about, it has to be ADTR, with their consistency of delivering great albums dating all the way back to For Those Who Have Heart, and of course the classic Homesick. Such a good fucking record. At number 4, we have Bring Me the Horizon. Now this one, I'll admit, it might be selfish of me to ask for more material from, considering the fact that Bring Me the Horizon just released a fantastic EP in 2020. But from them releasing an EP, one has to consider that they're working on new material. They're just putting this out there to experiment, right? So with that being said, a studio album from Bring Me the Horizon isn't too far-fetched of an idea, and I don't think it is. I think we get one this year. If this album turns out to be anything like post-human survival horror, I can already ensure that this album will be on my top 10 favorite albums of 2021. At number 3, let's bring in a little bit of hip-hop, Mr. Joey Badass. When I say I'm ready for another Joey Badass album, I am ready for a Joey Badass album, as many of his fans probably are. This will be the one to catapult Joey even further up the hip-hop landscape, garner more respect, and have his name mentioned with the likes of Kendrick and J.Cole as far as mainstream goes. And that sounds silly to even say, as I think Joey's one of the best in the game currently and has been for the past few years. So put me on record now, hip-hop album of the year. I'm calling it right now, 2021 Joey Badass hip-hop album of the year. Book it, book it. I know that's tough considering the company that he might have to deal with as far as Kendrick and Cole goes, but Joey is that, excuse my language, is that fucking dude. At number 2, you know I love me some pop punk, The Wonder Years. The Wonder Years have done no wrong by me and have been one of my favorite bands for the past 5 years. No Closer to Heaven in 2015 remains one of my favorite albums of all time. Yeah, all time. And the follow-up to that one, Sister Cities in 2018, was another album that I really loved. I enjoyed that album so much. I'm not sure if the guys are aiming to release a project in 2021, but considering the stuff that they hinted at last year in 2020, I feel like they could be releasing it this year. Heck, we just started the year, so we have a long way to go. So I could definitely see them releasing it this year. I feel about 80% confident that we might get new Wonder Years material. My arms are wide open already. I'm ready to welcome this next project with open arms. Now for number 1, the artist that I anticipate an album from the most this year in 2021, J.Cole. I'm sure I'm not the only one waiting on the J.Cole's new album to drop Island. Last we heard of Cole was his Lewis Street release that contained 2 tracks, The Klein and Lion King on Ice. Both I thought were fantastic tracks. Based off of these 2 tracks and the countless features we've heard Cole on in the past few years, we knew Cole was in the studio. We know he's in there cooking something up right now. So on December 29th of 2020, when Cole posted a timeline of the fall off era on his Instagram post, the speculations fueled up and are now at an all-time high as we enter only month 2 of 2021. I'm just as anticipated as you guys are. Just wait and have confidence, because I really do think that Cole's gonna bounce back on this album. I know there's a lot of debate that goes on with J. Cole or whether he's a good lyricist, average. Listen, I really think this next album will be the one. I think this is gonna be Cole's classic. For Your Eyes Only was fantastic. To me, that's a classic. But I think this next one's the one that is gonna open people's eyes and maybe gain that respect. And that sounds silly to say, but I think this is gonna be the one that quiets down all the haters. All right, guys, so that will wrap up the video for today. That's my list of my top albums that I'm anticipating in the year 2021. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, leave a feedback for me. I'd love to hear some feedback on my videos, and yeah, I'm already working on the next one, so I hope you guys join me for that one as well. You guys be safe out there. I'll see you on the next one.